Hello, everyone. I'm Allegra Gold, the CEO of BabyfirstTV. And yes, this is a very exciting event. BabyfirstTV has been in the business of children's entertainment for over 20 years and has won multiple awards for our shows and characters. We are here to discuss our lost media and how we are planning to bring back some of the classic shows and characters. And this is my board director, Max. Of course, I was born and raised in New York City. My father was a successful businessman, and he wanted me to follow in his footsteps. So I studied business and finance at college and graduated with a degree in management. After college, I started working for BabyfirstTV as an assistant to the CEO. I worked hard and proved myself to be a valuable asset to the company. Eventually, I was promoted to the position of CEO, and I've been in charge ever since. BabyfirstTV is a cable and satellite television channel that targets infants and toddlers under the age of 5. The channel has a variety of educational and entertaining programs, including music, videos, animated shows, and interactive games. BabyfirstTV was founded in 2006 by William Malpica and Anna-Marie van Leenhoven, who saw a need for a safe and educational environment for young children. The channel has become one of the most popular children's channels in the world, with a global reach of over 150 million households. Of course. Max, please come up here.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming out. I'm here to talk about the lost BabyfirstTV shows and why they're so important. The shows we are discussing are considered lost for a few reasons. The first is licensing issues. It's common for licensing agreements to expire, leading to content being removed from broadcast or streaming. This can happen for various reasons, including a lack of popularity or simply fading into obscurity. The shows you mentioned are some of the most popular shows on BabyfirstTV, and their absence has left a hole in the lineup. It's important to remember that these shows were once a vital part of the network's programming, and their loss is felt by many fans. These shows were a big part of the BabyfirstTV lineup, and their absence has been felt by many fans. The loss of these shows is not just a loss of entertainment, but a loss of cultural heritage. It's important to remember the impact these shows had on the audience, and to keep them alive in our memories. As you mentioned, there are a few shows that are no longer airing on BabyfirstTV. These shows include Baby Songs, Dougie in Disguise, First Impressions, Hocus Pocus, Kids Love Spanish, Mobiles, Smile, Spirello, and Where Do They Go? The BabyfirstTV team has been working hard to reach out to the creators of these shows and bring them back to the Black Book airwaves. They are actively searching for ways to revive these shows and give them a second chance at life. It's a priority for them to bring back these beloved shows and make them available to new generations of fans. It's true that streaming services have taken over the cable industry, and this has had a big impact on the BabyfirstTV lineup. The network has had to adapt to this change, and it's a challenge for them. The team is working hard to make the shows available through streaming services, but it's not an easy task. That's right. Disney has been using its streaming service to showcase other properties like Marvel and Hulu. This has had a big impact on the BabyfirstTV lineup, and the network has had to adapt to this change. The team is working hard to make the shows available through streaming services, but it's not an easy task. That's right. I've covered the main points about the canceled BabyfirstTV shows. The network has been working hard to bring them back, but it's a challenge for them. The team is still working on this project, and we can only hope that they'll be able to succeed in bringing these shows back to the airwaves. Thank you all for listening to me. I hope this has been an informative talk, and I appreciate your time and attention.
Thank you, Max. Now I'd like to introduce you to another member of our executive team, Emily. Emily, would you please come up here?
Of course. I'd be happy to introduce myself and share some behind-the-scenes stories about the shows I've worked on. I'm sure the audience will be fascinated to hear about the creative process and the challenges we faced in making these shows. Well, I've always been passionate about children's programming, and I was excited when I had the opportunity to work on BabyfirstTV. The shows are so creative and engaging, and it's amazing to see how much the children love them. It's also been a great learning experience for me, as I've learned a lot about storytelling and animation. I've also learned a lot about the importance of keeping the shows age-appropriate and engaging for the young viewers. It's a delicate balance, but I think we've struck a good balance with BabyfirstTV. The shows are educational and fun, and they help to develop children's cognitive and social skills. Yes, it's true that the Bedtime block was discontinued in 2009 due to various factors. While there were some licensing issues, the main reason was due to funding cuts. As a result, many of the shows and segments that were a part of the Bedtime block were never broadcast again. It's unfortunate, but I hope that by preserving and cataloging the lost episodes, we can keep them alive and make them accessible to fans. As many of you may know, the Bedtime block was a popular program on BabyfirstTV that was taken off the air in 2009. This special block featured calming music and soothing images designed to help children relax and fall asleep. Many parents found it to be very helpful and effective. The reason for its removal is not clear, though there has been speculation about licensing issues or funding problems. The block is no longer available, leaving parents and children alike with a sense of loss and uncertainty. The loss of the Bedtime block has been felt by many parents and children, as it was a comforting and familiar part of their daily routine. The lack of clarity around the reason for its removal has only added to the sense of loss and uncertainty. It's our hope that by preserving and cataloging the lost episodes, we can provide some closure and peace of mind for those who miss it. Yes, the Bedtime block was a reliable way for children to relax and fall asleep. The calming music and soothing images were designed to create a peaceful and restful environment, and many children found it to be a great way to unwind before bed. It was a reliable way for parents to ensure that their children were getting the rest they needed. Well, after the Bedtime block was taken off the air, there was a lot of confusion and concern among parents and children. Many people were wondering why it had been removed and what would replace it. There were also reports of children having trouble sleeping without the block, which was a concern for many parents. The Child Confederation, a nonprofit organization that advocates for children's rights, sent a letter to BabyfirstTV expressing their concerns about the removal of the Bedtime block. In the letter, they stated that the block had been a valuable resource for parents and children and that its removal was a loss for the community. They also asked that BabyfirstTV reconsider the decision and bring the block back on the air. Yes, it's true that BabyfirstTV did decide to bring the Bedtime block back on the air in the 2010 seconds. However, it was only a temporary measure, and the block was taken off again by the late 2010 seconds. This decision was made due to budget cuts and other financial constraints. It was a difficult decision for BabyfirstTV, as they knew how much the block meant to parents and children. Yes, BabyfirstTV is still a cable channel, but it's no longer the dominant force it once was. The rise of streaming services has taken a toll on the channel, and it's becoming more difficult to compete in the market. The Bedtime block is still a part of the channel's programming, Seven Gatter, but it's not as prominent as it once was. It seems that the channel is struggling to find its place in the modern era of entertainment. Thank you all for coming today and listening to my story. I hope that I've given you a better understanding of the situation with the Bedtime block and the challenges BabyfirstTV is facing. I'm grateful for the opportunity to share my experiences, and I hope that this has been helpful and informative.
Thank you, Emily. I know that the last show we're going to discuss is one that many of us are familiar with, but it's also one that has been lost to time. To talk about this show, I'd like to bring out our most experienced executives. Please come up here. Yes, that's correct. The episode that we're going to discuss is one that has been lost for a very long time, and we're hoping to bring it back for our fans.
Welcome, everyone, to the Lost Animation Legends panel at Comic-Con 2024. This is our biggest crowd yet. Today, we have a very special discussion about one of the most mysterious episodes in children's television history. please give a huge welcome to our panel of former Baby First TV producers and directors who worked on the original Tillie Knock Knock series.
Thank you for having us. It's great to be here at Comic-Con, talking about, well, some of the more unusual aspects of our time at Baby First TV.
Absolutely. And I know what everyone's here to hear about, the infamous The Truth of Till episode that's been the subject of so much discussion online.
This is going to be quite a discussion. I haven't talked about this episode in years.
It's definitely one of the most unusual moments in my broadcasting career. As you all know, we're here to discuss the infamous The Truth of Till episode that has become legendary in lost media circles. Let's start with Sarah. Can you tell us how this episode even came to be?
Wow, where to begin? This is something we rarely talked about, even at the network. The episode, The Truth of Till, was experimental, to say the least. It was conceived during a period where the network was trying to push boundaries with children's programming, exploring more complex emotional themes.
And I remember the animation meetings clearly. We were told to create something that would test the emotional depth of the Tillie character. Instead of the usual bright, colorful style, we used darker tones, more dramatic lighting. The whole thing felt like a completely different show.
The music was completely different, too. No upbeat, playful tunes. I composed something more like a dramatic film score. Minor keys, suspenseful strings, the works. It was unlike anything I'd ever done for children's television before.
And from a scheduling perspective, this was always meant to be a one-time thing. That's why it aired at 3 a.m. on a Friday night. We literally buried it in the schedule. The network was nervous about it even then. Can you tell us about the actual content of the episode? What happens in The Truth of Till?
In the episode, Tillie comes home to find her house empty. She discovers that her parents and cousin Billy, though some people insist it was her brother, there's still debate about that pronunciation, have been kidnapped. The rest of the episode follows her trying to save them from these mysterious kidnappers.
What made it so disturbing was how real it felt. We used more realistic animation for the kidnappers, shadowy figures with no faces, just these dark silhouettes. The whole thing had this nightmare quality that was completely unlike the normal Tillie episodes.
And the sound design. We use these low, rumbling sounds, heavy breathing, muffled cries. It was designed to be genuinely unsettling. I remember thinking, are we really making this for a preschool audience?
Now, there's been some fan analysis about this episode online. Can you address some of those theories? Absolutely. What's fascinating is how the fandom has connected this episode to the normal Tillie format. In regular episodes, friends knock on Tillie's door, and she guesses who they are. The theory is that this routine is what keeps the tragic events from happening. That by having friends visit regularly, she avoids being alone when the kidnappers might come. And that makes the normal ending quote, "Come by again, you'll never know who will visit next time," absolutely terrifying in this context. Instead of being a friendly invitation, it becomes this reminder of the dangerous strangers who took her family.
That's exactly why the network panicked. When they realized how dark the implications were, they'd pulled it immediately. It only aired that one time at 3 a.m. on a Friday night, so very few people managed to record it.
Yes, question from the audience.
Hi, I've read that some clips and audio surfaced online in 2022. Is that true? And do any of you have copies of the episode? Unfortunately, no. None of us kept copies. It was against network policy, and honestly, after the reaction, nobody wanted to hold on to it. But yes, in 2022, some fragments did start appearing online. Some audio clips, a few screenshots, maybe 30 seconds of animation here and there.
People in the lost media community have been trying to reconstruct it, but as far as I know, the last part of the episode has never been found. Neither has the full original episode. It's become this holy grail for lost media hunters. Yes, question from the audience.
What was the network's official response when this started gaining attention online?
I can speak to that. On April 22nd, 2024, BabyfirstTV actually released a rare official letter addressing the whole situation. They sent it to some child corporation that had been asking about it.
And what did the letter say?
They clarified that the episode wasn't some kind of broadcast hijack or pirate broadcast like some conspiracy theories suggested. It was an internal mistake, something that was never supposed to air at all. They called it a production error that somehow made it to broadcast.
The letter also mentioned that they're now taking a much stricter stance on unauthorized content to protect their young audience and brand reputation, which honestly makes perfect sense when you consider how completely inappropriate that episode was for their target demographic.
Next question, please.
Have any of you ever considered recreating the episode or telling the full story of what happened?
We've talked about it, but honestly, it's complicated. On one hand, there's incredible fan interest. On the other hand, we signed NDAs, and the network still owns all the rights. Plus, do we really want to traumatize a whole new generation of kids?
I think what's amazing is how this single 10-minute episode, aired once at 3 a.m. on a Friday night, has become such a significant piece of animation lore. It's fascinating how lost media works.
One more question. What do you think actually happened to make the episode air if it was never supposed to? Looking back, I think it was just a scheduling error. Someone probably loaded the wrong episode file, and since it was 3 a.m. on a Friday night, nobody was really monitoring closely. By the time anyone realized what had happened, it was already over.
And honestly, in those days, our quality control wasn't what it is now. Things slipped through the cracks occasionally. This just happened to be the most dramatic slip-up imaginable.
Final question.
If you could say one thing to all the fans searching for this episode, what would it be?
I'd say that your passion and dedication to preserving animation history is incredible. Even though this particular episode was problematic, your work in documenting lost media is so important.
And I'd add that sometimes the mystery is more interesting than the reality. The story of this lost episode has become bigger than the episode itself could have been.
Exactly. Keep searching, keep documenting, but remember that some things are lost for a reason, and maybe that's okay.
Thank you all for this fascinating discussion. This has been incredible. Please give one more round of applause for our amazing panel. And remember to visit the Lost Media Archive booth in the main hall. They have some of those 2022 fragments on display. Thank you, everyone.